I want to share some experiences that I've had while reading blogs, watching videos from other men's rights activists.
Oh, now this is going to be interesting, people. So please, do tell me on your experiences with men's rights activists, sir.
Hello everyone, this is Champion Man 90. Ugh! Damn it, I can't see a thing in this.
First, emotions that I started experiencing were anger. Anger towards women, anger towards politicians, anger just towards life in general.
It seems you have far more problems than just this being caused by the men's rights movement. Of course, all these stories that you hear all the time about women being nasty to men, feminists stopping people from creating men's shelters in Canada and in the rest of the Western world, stopping men from forming their own groups on university campuses because of equality. Yeah, it makes people angry. It makes people angry towards women. But it's not the men's rights activists that are making men angry towards women. It's the feminists. They want you to be angry towards women so that they can therefore have a reason to exist. And if you felt angry towards life in general, well, maybe that says more about you than it does about the men's rights movement. The men's rights movement is not here to make your life any more of a misery. It's there to help improve your life. At least that's their stated goals, and to give you more rights. But, oh well, let's continue. I'm sure, you're just going to not blame them at all for everything.
And just started seeing that the men's rights activist movement has some good points, but for men that maybe just got divorced or having to pay child support and you can't even date now because of it, you can't even enjoy life, I can understand how men can really feed it and become more angrier.
Well, at least you can see the reasons why men need the help of the men's rights movement and why they would be drawn to it. At least you have an understanding, but do go on.
So I read a book called Robert Hicks called The Masculine Journey. It's a great book. And I went through like about 10 years of not dating, not being able to do anything. And I used to, like, in a month, it was unreal. The woman I used to date, going out, it was nonstop. Every day, just nonstop going out.
Okay, so what has this got to do with that book? I mean, what did it do? Did it change your mind, your opinions? What is it? I've tried to have a look at this text, and it seems to be some kind of psychological thing. I don't know, is it a men's rights kind of book? Please, you need to explain this to me. I don't know what you mean by this. What does going out every day with your girlfriend have to do with all of this?
And dating, hanging out with women. So once I stopped living a fast life, since 2005, boom, nothing. And we're now about to go in 2016 here in the next couple months. So I talked to a doctor.
I'm sorry, but you talked about the men's rights movement, and then they've not come up in the last couple of minutes. And then you talk about a book, and then you're talking about girls, and you lived the high life, and now you haven't for the last 10 years. And then you went to see a doctor. What has this got to do with not letting the men's rights movement get you down? Why are they getting you down? And why do you think they're getting other people down? You've not quite explained your central premise for your video, mate, and this is beginning to get a bit tedious considering how short this video actually is. Also, your aspect ratio sucks. You need to turn your phone around or get some kind of webcam or camera because it's not working. Sorry, mate. You're not Josh Fierstein. You're better than this.
I was telling him my issues, and he was telling me that women were not the problem, that I was the problem. And I was allowing the men's rights movement to get me angry, to stir up that anger, because there are some men's rights activists online that are preaching some hate.
So you had a problem. Wait, I don't actually have a clue what you're on about right now. Your narrative has been absolutely woeful. I have not been able to follow you at all. I don't know what you've been on about. You read this one book from like 1993, which, by the way, it's my birthday. Yes, tomorrow. Patreon. No, I'm joking, people. But anyway, you read this one book that might be a men's rights text, it might not be, I don't know. It just says describing or explaining the 6 stages of manhood. That could just be a psychological text for all we know, about stuff. It could just be about manhood, it might not be an MRA text. You like this book, you still think it's a great book, and then you were having loads of girlfriends and hanging out with girls and partying, and now you weren't, and then you somehow met men's rights people, and then you got angry about something, and now for some reason you have to go to your doctor because you're so depressed, and this doctor must be a feminist and has now converted you to their cause because he's saying the problem lies with you and not the women, and you're now saying that these men's rights people are preaching hate. Well, who are these men's rights people who are spreading hatred of women? And if so, please call them out, because proper MRAs will deal with them. And egalitarians such as myself will also deal with these sexists, if they exist. If they exist. But so far, I don't get it. Why did you go to the doctors? Just because you didn't get any action? Were you depressed? You've not explained it. I've tried to listen to you. You're confusing me.
But I was blind and didn't realize that, and I was looking for something that I can agree with. So the book, The Masculine Journey by Robert Hicks, is a great book. I believe he even got an award from Ronald Reagan, and it helped improve my life.
So you went to the doctors, found that you decided that you no longer wanted the men's rights movement. You never really explained how you got into the men's rights movement, or why you went into the men's rights movement, and why you got so depressed, and how you stopped living the high life. And then you read this book, which I don't know what it is, I don't know who the author is, and it's a great book. You could have said that before, when you initially said about the book, you know, like, oh, I read this book, it's a great book. Yeah, we know that. We know you think it's a great book, but I still don't understand what this has to do with the men's rights movement. I have no inclination whatsoever. I'm sorry, mate, I can't follow you. I can't follow you, mate. You mad, bro? You mad, bro? And if you were truly looking for something to believe in, well, that's fine. Everyone wants something to believe in. But you haven't explained why you wanted to believe in it. I've tried to listen to you. I have boosted up your audio. You know, I could have left your audio to be as shit as it was, but no. I'm being a nice guy, and I'm going to boost your audio as much as I can. But please, tell me, why did you want to believe in it? Like, there must have been a reason why you wanted to believe in it, and now you don't believe in it. It seems to me like you're easily led. Like, at first you thought, oh, this sounds like a nice thing to believe in, and then your doctor said don't believe in it, and now you don't believe in it. What am I supposed to believe here?
Once I go back to it, just check it out. So I encourage men's rights activists, check out this book.
Why? Why check out this book? Is it because of its maybe religious leanings? I had a look, and basically the author is a former chaplain. He's created this kind of weird mystical religious aspect to manhood in his way of explaining it. I've not read the book. I can't comment on whether or not it is a good book. All I know is that he is a qualified psychologist. He does have his degree, apparently, on his website. But, you know, this guy hasn't actually told us why we should read this book, other than because it's good. Well, how do we know it's good? That's your subjective opinion on the matter, mate. You have to tell us the reasons why it's good. Is it because of this religious aspect? Is it because it's not an MRA text? Can you explain this more clearly? And
if you're an ex-inmate, don't spend too much time feeding off that stuff. The men's rights movement.
The men's rights movement is perfect for inmates because you do realise that men happen to get the worst possible prison sentences in the world because of their gender. Yes, race is also a factor, but gender trumps it. Trumps it! By several degrees. Yes, black men get more prison time than white men, but that's also because they are men, not just because they're black. Women get far less time for the same crimes than men. So I think being an inmate, a former inmate, looking into the MRM would be a good thing. wouldn't it? Because then he can stop other men from going to jail, or maybe change the system so that it becomes a lot more fair, don't you think? But do it, go on, explain.
Because what it does is it'll create more anger. It's better for someone that's in college or for people that are more stable.
How? How does it create anger? What? Because it shows how bad feminism is? It shows how bad people can be within feminism and what it does? Well, that's on the person who's getting angry. That's not the men's rights activists' fault. It's always about your reaction. If you're reacting with anger, that's on you. That's not on the MRA. They're not provoking these people. They're just showing them and telling them like it is. So you can't blame the MRM for making men angry. And these men were probably already angry. Yeah, like you said, they're former inmates, so they're going to be angry at something or someone. Don't you not think about that?
Have something going for themselves. Because if you're in a bad situation, you're listening to a bunch of negativity or listening to the rants of other guys, and you're constantly hearing this stuff, then you can become negative too.
That is an assertion, and what can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. You're going to get the Hitchens razor. Right, where were we? Ah, yes, of course. So you seem to think from the last bit, I didn't quite get to that to be an MRA, you're better off being in college or living in a stable life. I'm sorry, but look at my friend Phil Thought Returns. He was definitely not in a stable situation when he became an MRA. And now he is in a more stable situation because he managed to become an MRA and see what they had to offer to him in terms of how they could help get his son back from his psychopathic ex. And look, he's in a better situation than he was before. And how do you know that all these people ranting and raving and spreading their views? Because remember, they're not all going to be ranting. Some of them will be nice and calm and tell you what it's like. Like Paul Elam does not rant and rave. He speaks very calmly on camera. He writes very eloquently. And how do you think this is going to make people feel more negative? You can't prove that, just as much as I can't prove it not making them negative. I think finding people you can relate to and empathise with will actually help you. Maybe it'll make you feel better. You don't know that.
I started becoming a little bit negative. My emotions, even just had a negative impact on my life.
Well, that's all on you. You reacted that way. You reacted with anger. You reacted with negativity. That's not on the MRA. That's not their fault.
Not to say that the men's rights movement is bad, because I do support some aspects of it.
But you just said before it was bad for inmates. So you are saying it's bad, but now you're not saying it's bad? You're a bit of a hypocrite. You're contradicting yourself there, mate.
Some things, like I don't believe that prostitution should be legal, especially considering, uncover my uncle's name. My uncle died, and my mom's sister's husband, he went to New York, had sex with a prostitute, wore a condom, had a little hole in it, and then boom, he got AIDS. So I don't support it, but I understand men, men are men,
That's a complete non sequitur, and that's nothing to do with men's rights. I'm sure that many men's rights activists have their own opinions on prostitution, and many egalitarians like myself have our own opinions on prostitution. Personally, I think it should be legal. It's a service like any other. But you're appealing to emotion here. You've also kind of had a very rational reason for thinking it should be illegal, just because your uncle was unfortunate that he saw and met a prostitute who had AIDS, and that his condom had a hole in it. He died because of that. That is not a reason to make prostitution illegal. In fact, it's a case to make it legal, because then prostitutes will be checked far more vigorously and rigorously, so that we can be sure that they're clean and that their service is, scot-free of any diseases, that they will not be harming society. Do you not think about that? But besides the point, that has nothing to do with the men's rights movement. As far as I know, maybe prostitution is an issue, but as far as I'm aware, it's not a massive one, and it's more of a personal point of view on the part of men's rights activists. Although, if he was to see a male prostitute, maybe then male prostitutes would be more of a men's rights issue. But apart from that, this is a complete non sequitur, and I've wasted a minute and 20 seconds of my time.
You're going to go out, and spend $20-$40 like it is in every city here in America. You're going to do what you're going to do,
I highly doubt that a prostitute costs that cheap in America. Believe me.
If you're not making a lot of money, you have a family, or have the ability to rent, and no one's probably going to be with you, especially if you live in Florida. It's a miracle they're not having a lot of like shootings like crazy because they're banning men from living in the ghettos. You know, that's insanity. If you're in that situation, please leave the state. Check out my hub pages. I got about 3 or 4 blogs that are in support of felons having access to education, some free tips on getting some extra money.
And still, you're not even arguing your point. What has this got to do with the MRM? You just told me not to let them get me down, yet you've not really explained why. Only that, oh yeah, the talking voice may cause negativity and trigger you. Why? How? It all seems to be on you, not me. This doesn't make any sense. You are incoherent. You've gone from one thing to the other, non sequiturs. And now we're near the end. Have you anything else left to say other than shilling your blog for ex-felons and talk about people in Florida and the ghettos? Please, tell me more.
Play money to put in a gas tank. So, that's pretty much all I wanted to share. Peace.
What the hell did I just watch? That was the most incoherent, stupid video I've ever watched in my life. That made no sense whatsoever. His points weren't even points. So I guess with that I must leave you guys. See you later.